had another very, oh, I don't know quite the word to describe it, very clear. Um, I, I hesitate at the words, and that I've got to work on that. Healing experience with a one-to-one this week, um, where I got the vivid visual of the moment in time, and it was a past life, and it was exactly the same way the last one happened. It was we had had a wonderful time together, about 45 minutes. I looked down at my clock and I said, we've got about 15 more minutes. Do you have anything else you want to ask? This is almost exactly the way the first one went down. And she said, well, I have this issue with my throat. She said, I've had it for about a year and a half. It's waking me up at night. I feel like, I think she said, I feel like I'm swallowing past a knuckle, like it clicks and it wakes me up. It was very uncomfortable for her. And when she said that, I felt a funny sensation up my back, and I'm in my head going, here we go. I think I basically said that to her. I'm like, hang on. I don't know what's going to happen, but hang on. And she needed to, because the minute I shifted, the first thing that I saw, and I've watched it a couple of times because I remembered my reaction and I wanted to see if it showed. It doesn't show nearly as dramatic as what it felt like inside, because I've got my eyes closed and I'm doing my thing the way I do. I'm moving energy, and all of a sudden, bam, it's completely a black background, and I see, like, in the whole frame of what I see a hangman's noose, and I jump from it. It startles me, and I'm like, and I'm goosepimply even saying it. And then inside, I talk to my inner child, and I say, you know, are you scared? And this all happens within seconds, and she's like, no, it's okay. And I'm like, we're okay. We're just holding space. We're just holding space. And she's like, I know. And so I made sure that she felt okay. And then I see the scene thing. I see a woman. I know this time. The last time I didn't know if it was male or woman. This one I can see that it's a woman. I'm way back, and I'm looking like from up and down into the crowd, and I see the crowd. I see their clothing, very, old fashioned. There's bonnets and things in the clothing, and I see this ratted, tattered, beaten, emaciated person with the thing around her neck. I I think that they're kind of protecting me a little bit from too many of the gory details, because I'm asking myself right now, was she alive in that moment? I feel like she had to be, because I then saw the angels coming close to her, and they're whispering in her ears and saying, you're not alone. You're okay. You're safe. Your angels are here. Everything is okay. And they're just talking to her. Yeah, I believe it was four angels again, which there was four angels in that cave as well. And they lift her, and she goes up. And as she goes up, that transformation happens again. Remember how I saw from the feet up, I saw her transform into clean, not beaten, not bruised, thin, not thin, clean robes. She's draped with robes. And I get the sensation that the angels are taking her to heaven. The sensation, the mental, emotional feelings that I had during that was the horrific injustice she was feeling. I had this knowing that she had been stuck. That is the only way I can explain it. I felt that the knowing that came through was because of the injustice and the violence of her death. It somehow stuck her in between. I don't even know how to talk to this because I don't know shit about it. It's nothing I've ever studied. I don't watch that kind of stuff, near death stuff, or past life stuff. Or even like that whole, I've heard it said before that beings sometimes with certain circumstances, they don't just transition right to the other side. They are, for some reason, they're stuck. So that's what I understood, is that this being was, she didn't transition, and she was stuck, and that she has brought this throat issue. I got a sense, they showed me this sense of time, like she has brought this issue through time, through the incarnations, but no one was evolved enough until this woman that reached out to me to understand that it could be a energetic thing. And she had, my first words when she first brought up the thing, I said to her, have you had it checked out? Have you, have you, like the lady with the ankles, she had been to all, and this woman had too. She'd been to all the different doctors. She had, specialists. She'd looked into everything. Nobody could find anything wrong. I'm beginning to understand the I guess I've known it. I knew for myself that my health went to shit to get my attention. I know that. But there were things that could be tested and seen, influenza A and pneumonia and blah, blah, blah. These were things that doctors could test and say, this is what it is. That doesn't take away my belief that that stuff evolved to get my attention. And then this whole RA thing, I had somebody post on my this, evidently this is going to be about healing. I had someone post on one of my videos a question. She asked, have I, do I feel like I've healed the RA? Where am I with that? Blah, blah, blah. For those of you, I think everyone knows that during that time, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And I'm on a medication, so there were some years of really debilitated. Then I hit at almost the exact same time of this awakening, I started taking Enbrel. Enbrel's a shot. It's one of those biologics that people use. And I take it once a week. And so I have definitely, now am I stiff when I get out of the car after driving for an hour? I'm 61 years old. I don't know that that's possible to not be the case, and maybe it is. If maybe that's that friggin' limiting belief that we have. Of course, as I age, I have to be stiff. I know in my heart that that's not the truth. I know it is not the truth. But I've got 61 years of programming around that we have to debilitate as we age. I've got that programming, and that's just the truth. Do I believe that faith would heal anybody? That faith would restore 100-year-old person? If it was, and why do I even feel like I have to qualify that? Do I believe that faith could restore a 100-year-old person? Yes, I believe that. Do I believe that I have access to that? I don't think I do yet. I think it's part of I think that's just being really honest. That I get in my head and I because this is what my head does when I think about the medication that I'm taking. I think every time, and I know I've said this, I think of that old joke or parable or whatever it is about the man, and this flood is coming, and he says he don't have to worry because God's going to save him. And the boat comes and he doesn't get on it, and this comes and he doesn't get on it, and the helicopter comes and he doesn't. He keeps saying God's going to save me, and then he drowns and he gets to heaven and says to God, "Why didn't you save me?" And God said, "I sent you 3 different things. You didn't take any of them." Well, so my friggin' brain says, is this the boat? Is the Enbrel the boat? I feel great. I have no side effects. The doctor said the only side effects from this medication was that my immune system would go down. And since I've been on it, I got COVID, was over COVID in 3 days. I get a cold, 3 or 4 days, maybe one really sick day where maybe I take a nap because I don't feel good. And that's a cold for me now. So it's not affecting me. So on this side, I'm like, so what the hell? And on this side, I'm like, but I believe I don't need it because I'm happy now and I'm connected and I'm okay. So that's where I'm at with that. Welcome to my crazy. Welcome to my crazy because that we all have the same stuff. We have to live with our programming. So I don't know if anyone wants to comment or ask a question about that before we move on. I think what I would like to do, I'm not sure if they're going to take us in the direction of talking about healing. I'm certainly okay if they do. Karen, go ahead. I think you can unmute yourself.
I couldn't get my hand up fast enough. I just think there's no right or wrong in it. That it's a path, and I'm looking at everything now as an experience. I have an interaction, my child reacts. It's an experience.
Yep.
That's all it is. There's no right or wrong. It's your path, and your higher spirit, your higher self, takes you on this path to expand. So whatever's happening is what's needed for your expansion.
Right.
Medication, not medication. People,
Right.
Anyway, there's no right or wrong. That's my whole thing.
I believe that 100%. I hear that in my heart when I say just this morning I've started. Michael bought me a secondhand tanning bed. I've got a tanning bed out in my garage. We're redneck yuppies, we got all the toys, but you have to plow through all the shit, the crap, the bags of 50-pound bags of potatoes, step over the kids' car seats to crawl into this dusty ass friggin'. I just don't want to paint a picture too fancy because there's nothing too fancy about it. But I was in the hot tub and tanning bed, and when I got out of the tanning, as I'm in there, I'm thinking about the medication, and just exactly how I described it was what I felt. Blah blah, do back and forth. And so I'm like, come on, can't you give me an answer? Can't you tell me? Everyone says ask your guides, like it's a black and white. They're going to tell you, and they just gave me that knowing. Choose, baby girl, choose. Either one is absolutely fine. If you can line up with it, you can manifest it. You know that, and I do know that.